We got to stop using platforms that profit off our engagement. We got to stop using platforms that profit off our engagement. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because these platforms that we're using that's profiting off our engagement is not, they weren't, maybe they were created for some positive stuff or whatever, but right now they're being used to control us. It's not for our well-being, right? And I get it. This is a big ask for most people. Get offline. Stop scrolling. Stop posting on social media. Stop going on social media. Just addicted to seeing ass and titties. Addicted to the next the next bad news. You just waiting for that bad news. I stopped watching the news early. I swear to God, I was like by like 7 or 8, or just real young. I was like, bro, the news is no good. Like, I was like, I don't even know why. My parents and old people watch the news. Like, I was just getting the same bad news every day, and I get it. It helps you stay aware of what's going on. That is important. You need to, I guess, know what's going on, but you don't need to know every goddamn thing. Like, you want to know everything that's going on. Like, bro, I ain't trying to worry about all that. So I stopped watching the news early. But anyway, we gotta get off these platforms, man. And before I go on a whole rant, I'm gonna tell you there are alternative platforms that we can use that don't profit off our engagement. So it's a whole different energy. It's a giving energy instead of taking it away. You know what I'm saying? There are alternative platforms for you to use if you choose to do so. But if you want to keep being a product, you want to keep being a product. You're not a customer. You're a product. They're selling your information. They're selling our data. You know what I mean? They're using us like pawns. I wish I could put up that clip in Blade Trinity. Feel Blade Fed out there. She was like, we move the humans around like pawns. For QB, I was like, dang, like pawns. That's how they're using us, bro. Like pawns. If you know chess. But yeah, man. Like we gotta get off these platforms, man. They're incentivized to show us whatever provokes emotion, whatever keeps us just on that hamster wheel. You know what I'm saying? They don't care what it is. Their main goal is to keep us on there. You feel me? Keep us there. Keep us in a box, and they can just feed us whatever we want. Keep us in this box right here, But we got to get off that. They're manipulating us. You feel me? They're feeding us misinformation. Feeding us a lot of misinformation. I mean, AI is doing this thing now. Like, people can do it much more efficiently. Just feed you just a bunch of lies. And it doesn't matter if you believe it or not, or it doesn't matter. They took your time. They took 8 seconds of your life. Oh, bro, it's only 8 seconds. Bro, shut the hell up, bro. Put the fries in the bag, bro. This shit is just getting out of hand, bro. And like, I was always like thinking like this, but it's getting to the point now where I gotta kind of start speaking up. I mean, I'm like, we gotta talk about this. Like, bro, no one's, a lot of people's not talking about this, you know. But it's just like I feel like I have to speak up about it. You know, they're profiting off us like crazy. You know, and I see if we were using it to help us. You know, if we were just, I mean, but it wasn't designed to help us. You know, it was just designed us to it feeds us stuff. You know, you can't get away from it. They're targeting our emotions. It's an emotional thing. You know, they spreading just bad news, like I said, and it just makes things much worse. There's a lot of good things about the internet and just being able to access a lot of information, but it could just as easily be a bad thing. That's why you have to be smarter than the stuff you work with. My dad, he used to say that shit. He still says that shit. My pops, you got to be smarter than, I used to work with him. He's an engineer. You just tell me, you got to be smarter than the stuff you work with. You got to be smarter than the shit you work with. We can't be using this shit and it's smarter than us. That's what we did to the animals. I mean, that's what everything else is to us. You know, we're smarter than it, so we take advantage. We're able to, we have the upper hand. We let, and now it's getting to the point where the stuff we're using is smarter than us. A lot of people are really brain dead out here. I'm not even gonna lie. Oh, you gonna lie. And then we have no privacy. People are just judging each other. It's not even the fact that we're being used and we're being put against each other. We gotta go and help it. We gotta tear each other down. We gotta judge someone else for just doing the slightest thing, just making a mistake. You know, Not to mention all the other stuff that could be going on. In someone's life. But I get it though. You gotta worry about yourself. You gotta protect yourself. So you just off the back, you just judging something off a 8 second clip, judging someone, and you just writing them off. You won't got no privacy. People filming everything. I remember when I got into I got into film like early on back in the day. I was into film very early on, and it wasn't a lot of people into it, to be honest. Like making movies, I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of people went to go see movies, but as far as making movies, it used to be hard. It's a lot easier now, so a lot more people do it, and it's like trendy. It's been trending for a while now, since I was like, social media. Social media came out. People want to, people create or whatever, but it wasn't a lot of people into it. Is what I'm saying. Like filmmaking. And now everyone can just film. You used to have to go get a camera. Think about if everybody had to go buy a camera to like film something. Like if they took the camera phones, if they took the cameras off the camera phones, and then you got to go buy a camera. People probably would just buy a camera, but it'd be a lot less people filming though. It still would. A lot of people ain't gonna. Old people they ain't finna go. You gotta, if you want to take pictures, go get a camera. Fuck all that. You gotta have a passion for it. You gotta really want it. You know, things are too accessible too nowadays. Everything's so accessible. It just makes shit worse. But yeah, man, we need to get off these platforms that profit off our engagement. And out here, if you want some other alternatives, just look some up online. I'm not even going to shout nothing out, but just look some up online. You know, and take a break.